Hello and welcome to Converting Fractions to Decimals. We're going to take a look at how to change a fraction into its equivalent, which means equal, decimal form. Before we begin, though, I want you to remember something special here, and that's that Marzillier says that fractions are division problems waiting to happen. So instead of just looking at it as a fraction, it's not a bad idea to think of a fraction as a division problem that can be read from top to bottom. And when we look at this, 1/2 can be reread as 1 divided by 2. That's exactly how we're going to solve this problem. The first word out of your mouth goes in the division house. So we'll put 1, since it's the first word that I said out of my mouth, in the division house. And our denominator becomes our divisor. So this now becomes a fairly simple division problem. And we look at 2 dividing into 1. And if 2 people want to fair share a whole cookie, that's a little bit of a problem unless we break the cookie into smaller parts less than 1. Exactly what a fraction or a decimal is. So since we can't divide 2 into 1, we'll first have to add a decimal after the whole number 1. And a decimal exists after every whole number. We typically don't write them in when we write whole numbers, but it's understood to be there. And I'll also bring it up here above the division bar in my answer called the quotient. Now I'll add a 0 after the 1. And so for division purposes, we're going to pretend that this number 1 is really 10. Even though we haven't changed the value of the 1, 1 and no tenths is still 1. But to pretend that it's 10 for division purposes will help us get our answer. 2 goes into pretend number 10 5 times. So I'll place the 5 over the 0, subtract out the product, and that leaves me with nothing left over. As a result, the answer is decimal 5, or 5/10. 5/10 is exactly half of 10, and that's why the fraction, which was originally 1/2, is also known as 5/10. So when we look at fractions, it's not a bad idea to consider them division problems waiting to happen first. Also, another quick trick that I always like to show my students is to make sure that before you begin the division process, you simplify your fractions down into their lowest terms or simplest form first. That'll make your division a little bit easier and make the problem go a little bit faster. Good luck on the rest of converting fractions to decimals as you go through your work today.